So and on the this thing, development environment side, what are the things that we needed? We needed JDK, preferably the JDK 7 or at least minimum is JDK 6. So JDK 7, and then you need to install latest Eclipse, and then get the SVN plugins, SVN and Maven plugins. You can get them from this link, or you can actually even get from Marketplace in Eclipse. Maybe Marketplace may be a better idea. Okay, Eclipse Marketplace. You otherwise, you install plugins. Okay, you actually get it's going to show a list of it, and then you can search for Maven and as well as SVN. So let me say SVN. Okay, it should show. Okay, Subverse is there. Then what other things are there? Come on. Maybe you can install the first one.
You can.
Okay, you can install the
Sir,
first.
you can
one.
here write subjects also.
Sorry.
You can write in the search option subclips also. They will show
Right,
the
right,
options.
yeah. Okay, subclips, right? Yeah, we can do. I mean, I prefer subclips.
Yeah.
So, perfect. So you get the first one, so you can install it. Okay. For me, it is already installed, so it is showing as uninstalled. Uninstall link is enabled. Okay. And this is subclips, and then what you need is Maven. So for Maven, it is searching. You have to bear with the net speed. So Maven integration for Eclipse, you can first one you can do it, or Maven integration for, I'm not sure.
Third one, I think.
You install third one, and second one should work, but maybe third one. Okay, third one you can do. And is there anything else? Maybe third one. Okay, maybe third one. Okay, second or third one. First one incubation. It says incubation, so I don't prefer that. Now when declare new WT on site. M2 WBAT has moved to Eclipse Foundation. Okay, so I think I prefer that third one is the best one. Okay, M2E. So this is how you can install plugins. Okay, and other thing that we were discussing yesterday was to get the MySQL database installed. So MySQL database, what you do is you click on this link. So then it opens up. It actually you need to download an installer and install it. So when you install, the various things that you will be getting is you will get. Come on, I have so many things here. So you will get Workbench and you will get database server, MySQL server. Okay, so and then you can actually use MySQL command line. I have two versions of database, so don't get confused with that. So when you are installing MySQL database, I suggest that you give the password as secret. The password is, because I'm actually like I'm going to hard code this password in the code for now, and you don't need to do any change explicitly if you are going to keep this as a password. Okay. Network is very slow. Okay, so Shirisa may not be joining because this is she is struggling. That's fine. Okay, so then when you install MySQL Workbench, that's fine. Then after that, this is the path where you need to check out the code. I'm actually pasting that again in the chat window. So how do you check out the code? The way you check out the code is that you go to window. First, you need to actually open SVN repositories. Once you install SVN plugin, you will get SVN repositories here, or if you don't find in this list here, what you need to do is click other, and then if your screen looks like this, then you need to actually click SVN and click repositories and open it. Okay, and initially it will be empty screen for you. So what you need to do is click on the white area, somewhere in the white area, say new repository location. Okay, and whatever repository location I paged in the chart window, you need to specify that. So you need to specify that. So once you do that, you click finish, and it takes a moment, and that will appear in the list here. That will appear in the list here. So don't worry about so many entries in my particular thing, because they are actually I've been using are like they primarily they represent only one is for the training, other one is this for this project. So you click on this, it will show files. So what you can do is that make sure if you are adding your repository till OCMS, https://cs-ocms.googlecode.com/svn/trunk/ocms. If your repository is still this path, you can directly check out from this. Click checkout. Okay, and what you will do is that checkout as a project in this thing. Click next, and you finish, and the code comes into your Eclipse. If your repository looks like something like this, okay, where your it is still the trunk but not the OCMS. In that case, what you need to do is you right click on the OCMS. Okay, it is a child element to the repository. So what you do is you click on the OCMS. Check out that OCMS as a project. Okay, but if you are giving the complete path, you don't need to worry about what I am telling now. If you are giving, if you just give the repository path as what I have mentioned in the chart window, you don't need to really worry about the second option that I am talking about. Both of them are actually same thing, but just to be sure, I am actually giving. So if you have repository earlier, like by chance, if you have repository only till that rank, then what you need to do is go to the child OCMS and then check out that as a project. Right click here, check out as a project. Otherwise, you directly right click on the repository and say check out as a project. When you check out, it takes maybe a minute, then it will get all the code. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, so you will actually find something like this. Okay, you will find something like this, and you must notice that there is an icon called M there. M means like it is identified as a Maven project. M means it is identified as a Maven project. If you do not see that, then I suggest that you actually delete this project. Deleting here, you should not check the checkbox. Okay, so it will only remove the project from the workspace. Okay, so I'm not going to do it now, but you can delete the project if you don't see the M there, and then after that what you need to do is file, the Eclipse main menu, file, import, then you will find this option. Okay, so your when you actually say import, it will look like this, and then go to the Maven, import existing Maven projects, and take to the folder, go to the folder where this project is there. So in my case, this is a path. Okay, within this folder there is something called pom.xml. okay, there is a project object model XML file. There is a heart of your Maven tool. Maven is a build tool. You will understand it. You can actually read I have given a link for a particular book. You can read that and you can understand.
Sir, I interrupt you for a moment, sir.
Yes.
Actually, I have prepared that book and I am reading almost 1 to 2 chapters. I have understand the distinction between using the ant and Maven. Okay, but I didn't get what is the sole purpose of using the Maven.
Sir, I'm actually like, you read again, you will get it. I'll explain that sometime later. Right now, the scope of this particular thing is not to explain the individual technologies, but such as the bigger thing that as long as you understand how to run this, slowly you will understand what the Maven is. Maven is, if as a fresher, it is a little tricky for you to understand why do you need this tool or why do you need SVN as well. Okay, but what happens is in the real life, in the real life, you are going to have so many dependent libraries. For that matter, let me show you how many libraries this project is now actually dependent on. So, where is it? It is target, yeah. CMS, WebINF, lib. See here, there are this many jar files that we are actually using, but we never actually download or any, we never actually worry about any of these jars individually. Why? Because Maven is going to do the magic. It is going to download from the internet. What you will hardly do is that there is a configuration file called pom.xml that actually is going to have dependencies you specify like this. Okay, let me show you. There is a concept called group ID and artifact ID. Essentially, you have to understand the group ID is something like a package. Okay, and this is artifact ID is nothing but a jar name. Okay, so finally, this I mean, it actually represents some particular path of the this file. If you look at org.spring framework and just that alone, and then here see artifact ID is spring context. So what actually it means is that I'm talking about a particular jar called spring context. Okay, and then there is a version. So this is a variable, and what this version is going to represent, this might be defined somewhere in this file itself. So let me search for it. Okay, see here, this actually is defined as this value 3.2.0 dot release. Okay, so I'm talking about org.spring framework dot spring context and with a version 3.2.0 dot release. What does it really mean? It really means that I'll show you in your home directory. In your home directory, you have something called .m2. Okay, .m2. So and here something called repository, and here I'm going to find org. It is org.spring framework, right? Org, then spring framework, and here what was the name? Spring context. And now here the version number. Okay, and here comes your jar. Here comes your jar. Spring context, and the jar is named like the artifact ID. Artifact ID is nothing but the name of the jar. Okay, sorry, basically the main name. Okay, and then the version number. So artifact ID hyphen version number dot jar will be the final jar name. So all these things are available on the internet. All these things are available on the internet. Let me show you. repo1.maven.org. Okay, this is one of the repository. This is one of the repository where you actually will find jars. Let me say one side. Spring context. Okay, spring context. Let me look at this one, and one moment. Artifact ID 3. Okay, see here. Okay, what I'm actually going to do now is download. Still the search. Come on. Seems like I'm missing something. Okay, yeah, it is actually downloading here. If you see, it is downloading. Essentially, like, okay, somehow I don't like the way I'm actually looking at it. repo1 dot slash maven2 slash org slash spring org slash spring framework. Okay, so let me look at this way. So actually, like in the internet also, the files will be in that structure only. See, org slash framework, and here what is the artifact name? Spring context. And you see here there are so many versions available. Okay, our application needs 3.2.0 version. So here goes the jars, this particular jar, and the content here, and the content here, they look same. They look same because you have the jar, you have some other files, and like you I think at this level it is sufficient that you understand that the what actually this dependency means like one moment, let me explain this. Okay, so this is how it looks like when you say, or let me go to a simpler one. Yeah, let me look at this simpler one. Okay, so a dependency, this is how you define. There is a group id. So group id is nothing but like a folder structure, org/spring framework /security. Okay, then there is the artifact id. So this is going to be the jar name, but the jar name will be artifact id hyphen the version. Okay, version means like you can actually hard code the value as well, but here this is mentioned somewhere, okay, in the top. So it is actually 3.1.3 release, 3.1.3 release. So that is the reason, like this is going to be like it's a 3.1.3. It means actually like it's like a variable. So it's going to be replaced actually by Maven to the correct value. So that actually means that I have some jar in the path /org/spring framework /security /spring security config. Okay, there are hyphens in between. Hyphen at the end. Hyphen 3.1.3 dot release dot jar. That is going to be the final name. That is going to be the final name. How do I find that? How do I find that? Spring framework dot security. We can. I think this is the one, right? Hopefully, yeah. This is how it looks like. And if you are not confident whether this is the right thing on the internet as well, let me just copy this. Okay, and paste it here. Okay, I'll just change the slashes. I think it looks like. Okay, see here. Here we go. So primarily Maven does couple of things. Okay, one is that you don't need to strain too much in defining what your project has to do and all. Okay, and second one is the dependency management. Okay, dependency management means my application needs on some number of jars. Okay, and otherwise typically what people have to do is that download the jar, and that also you commit along with the code. You put that in the SVN. But it doesn't make any sense to put jars into SVN because you are not going to change those jars. You are depending on those jars. You are not going to change those values. So there is no meaning why you must actually like commit all the jars into SVN repository. Fine. Did you guys get something out of this?
Yeah.
Little bit, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
At least got some overview of what we are doing.
Right, exactly. So actually like you keep looking at the file, keep working on it, and it looks simple. And where do I get these jars from internet? Okay, then that is an immediate question that you may be getting. So here you actually define something called repositories. Primarily there are two things in the Maven. Okay, Maven configuration. Okay, one is the dependencies. There will be hell lot of dependencies defined, and other one is where you get these jar files from. So you have something called, there is something called repository that you declare you define in the in this XML file. And what is it? It points to the URL. HTTP here download.java.net/maven/2. That is one path. Okay, and there is another thing, HTTP oss.sonatype.org/content/groups.public. Okay, these are the couple of repositories that are configured, but internally like jars may contain some other repository paths as well. So like it will be going around getting from multiple sources. Finally it is going to get you all the jars into your local system, into your home directory dot then you have something called .m2, and then you have something called repository. Okay, it's going to get all the files once. You will get all the files only once. Okay, and after that it will check whether on the servers if there is any latest version. if the file timestamp has changed or something. In that case, it will get. Otherwise, it will not get any. I mean, latest. I mean, it will not download it again and again. So the advantage is that if you are going to work on 3-4 projects, okay. So first project you are going to download everything. I mean, Maven is going to download everything for you. But from subsequently next projects, it is not going to download all those jars because they already are there in your local repository. So this is called repository in a local side. Okay. So there are a couple of things as I mentioned. One is repositories and other one is dependencies. And interesting with dependencies is that once I have one dependency, see here, suppose I have this file, here spring security -config, just a jar name. Don't worry, I mean, if you don't understand anything by spring security, it is one jar, that's it. Okay. So if our project is going to depend on this, and then suppose if that jar internally again it might need some other n number of jars. So where do you get that information? I'll get this information again in .pom file. If you notice this, you have, for this particular, in this particular folder, you have .pom file. So if you notice here, again you have dependencies. So that means that if I just say that I depend on Spring Framework, okay, and by chance if Spring Framework depends on 30 other things, okay, it is going to actually download all those things as well. But in my configuration, I'm going to just say only one Spring configuration, Spring, okay, Spring Framework.
Means it makes easy for us to if our project needs multi-level dependency on jars.
Exactly, multi-level dependency on jars, but it is going to actually fetch all those jars for us. At the same time, there may be some problem with this particular approach. Why? Because if I depend on 2 jars, A and B, okay, and suppose if A depends on some other third jar, okay, of version 1, then C-1.jar, okay, and by chance B depends on C-2.jar, okay, then what it is going to do is that it is going to download 2 jars for the C-1.jar, C-2.jar. Then there is a problem. Your application may not work. It might be like, there is a conflict of interest, so there will be problem. In that case, if you know that, okay, there is going to be some problem and you know which version of C you need to depend, then what you can do is other version you can say exclude. You can exclude by specifying this. In this case, Spring context actually depends on commons logging, but I am going to exclude the commons logging. Don't worry if I am going to depend on commons logging. This is what you are going to say for this particular jar. Okay. So again, don't worry if you don't really understand 100%. It takes some time. It takes some time. As you keep working, you will actually get what this thing is about.
I have a question.
Yes, please, friend.
So actually we have to write this whole thing on ourselves.
Yes, you need to write this thing ourselves, but once it is written, because for this project it is already there, so you don't need to do anything on this front.
Yeah, but for other projects.
Yeah, for other projects, yes. Once in the project life cycle, you need to do it. Suppose for this project also, tomorrow you say, suppose you go on the internet and you find out that there is some guy who is very smart and he created a particular jar, a Java API, and you say that it's going to reduce lot of burden on us, and you say that we can remove so many classes, and it's going to simplify our job. And you say that, okay, that guy actually is putting this on the Maven repository, so I'm going to add the dependency. So you can come add the particular dependency alone into this project.
Okay.
Getting it?
Yes.
If you are going to add new technologies, new jars, new frameworks, we need to keep changing this. And also, suppose after 2 years you found that there is a latest version of the Spring framework which has a lot of advanced features. Then what you may be doing is that come here, just change the version. Spring framework version. Change the version, then Maven is going to get all those jars from that particular version. But then you need to verify that your application is working with the change, because if there may be some problem because of the latest jars, some dependencies may be broken. So you need to figure out that particular thing. Here?
Okay.
Okay. So generally, you have this Maven framework, and this is actually a very beautiful thing. You will appreciate it. Is kind of de facto standard in the industry. It is kind of de facto standard in the industry for any product development.
Defact.
De facto means
Okay, defact is standard.
yeah, it's a standard, default standard. Okay, like it's a kind of standard now. It is not
Okay.
it's not defined by anyone. It is not defined by anyone. In the sense, generally Java versions are released from the Sun Microsystems. Now that is bought by Oracle. So Oracle owns Java. Okay, so I mean, and
Yeah.
actually, like if you see that the guy who initially was the key in creating Java framework, James Gosling, he did not like the way Oracle is handling Java, so he actually quit Oracle and he moved on. Okay, so but then that's a different thing. We don't have anything to do with that. So let's coming. But in this one, the Maven is such as is evolved by individuals. Okay, some individuals actually created because they have been facing problems, so they built, but it became popular in the last maybe 5 to 10 years. Earlier it was not that popular, but it became popular. Otherwise, there is another tool called Ant, Ant. Okay, Ant is
Yeah.
also popular tool, but when compared to Ant in Maven, the number of lines you need to write is less. Okay, but now recently, maybe it was there even before, but recently there is a tool called Gradle that is getting very popular. There is a tool called Gradle that is getting very popular. So let me type that, the tool name, Gradle. Okay, so fine. So but actually, like the beauty with Gradle is that it is kind of wrapper on top of all the other existing things. You may feel that it is Ant, you may support, it will support Ant, it will support Maven, Maven repository notation, the group ID, artifact ID kind of thing, and actually, like it is built on top of Groovy syntax. So it actually, like, I think Groovy, or maybe I think it is Ruby. I don't know. I think it's Groovy only. So the number of lines you need to write will be less, even less. But let me not deviate too much from what we are supposed to do. Okay, so I'm giving you heads up on what else is happening in the world. Okay, there may be something else that I may not be aware. Fine. So this is how you actually get the project into your system. So once you get this particular project, what you will be doing is that you can right click, run as, and before that I'm saying that make sure you have this M there. Okay, you have this M. That means that your Eclipse is identifying this project as a Maven project. So now on the pom.xml, what you say is that run as Maven install. You do this, run as Maven install. Okay, when you do that, it is going to check out all the projects. It is going to actually download all the jars, whatever I'm mentioning. It is going to download all the jars and compile the code, build the code. Okay, so you need to do that, and after that there is one special step that I request all of you to do. Okay, what you need to do is that first time this, I'll paste this. Okay, I'll paste this in the chat window. It is mentioned in the in the group website as well. But what you do is pom.xml, right click, run as. Here I am actually clicking run configurations. Run configurations. So here what I'm doing is I'm going to see, basically, like you will find this there's something called M2 Maven build, and then you will not have anything else. Okay, so what I will do is that I'll click here the plus symbol, okay, and say, so maybe give some name, OCMS again in my case because it's already there. So you need to select the project, which project you are going to work with. So I click, what I'm doing is, see here, base directory, browse workspace, select the project, in this case OCMS for me. Okay, and goal, in the goal you can give this and say apply and click run. So what it is going to do is that it is going to clean any classes created earlier. It is going to delete everything. What happened to this? Okay, it is failing because my server is already running, so the files are being used. So it says it cannot delete the files. So let me redo this again. So OCMS, this actually I have created this configuration already. So it is going to have, every time it is going to, once you click apply, it is going to store that information there. So select that and click run. Select that and click run. what? And the same topic that we are discussing or something else? To me.
Hello?
Tell me, Rishi.
Hello? Sir, give
Guys,
us we don't need to
ensuring
do
you
anything
type the
with
question.
server. Hello? Hello? Okay.
I clicked whatever the run command that I mentioned here. It's going to actually, what it is going to do is, first time it may take some time, but then it's going to now it's actually deploying. It is actually deploying this particular thing. Okay, so it's actually like now I think when you see this message starting the protocol handler, that means the application has started up. So how does it look like? One simple page that I actually like. This is a dummy page only. There is nothing much here, but what actually I'm doing now is here. If you click it, but it is actually like ported to our page, our application from some other website. I just did some changes into it. Okay, just click on it. See here, nicely it does validations for us. Nicely it does validations for us. I'm going to explain this particular thing. Okay, I'm going to explain this particular thing in a moment. Before that, yeah, when I say that this Rishi is curious. He says here I'm not starting the server. Okay, here I'm not starting the server. I'm actually how I'm starting. I'm not starting explicitly. What I'm doing is I'm actually like just changing. I'm running a Maven target. So I say that is and configuration, and this is the one you can do for once. Okay, after that if you need to restart again, what you can do is you can just say, instead of clean, just say tomcat 7 run, tomcat 7 run, and it is going to start the server with the application. Okay, and actually like make sure you are actually stopping the server. Okay, if you are going to restart again, you need to stop this and then only you need to start it. This one I want to do this, so it is covered now. It is actually like dependencies actually, so it's not going to do it's and don't worry, you see too much bugging to show everything, but in your case it may be less than this. Okay, lot less than this. Need a server. Okay, so in the typical web application, like look like this. Okay, well, have so this is how it looks like. Okay, you have this servlets. Fine. So typically, like how you run an application on a typical web application in Eclipse is that run on server. Run on server. It is going to start up a server. It is going to actually start a Tomcat server, Tomcat or whatever server that you configure. It's going to do. So that and this, there is not of much difference. Here, yeah, in the other case, you are actually like Eclipse is doing it explicitly. Doing it explicitly, and in case of Maven, it is a plugin that is configured in the pom.xml. It is a plugin that is configured in the pom.xml. I'll show you where Tomcat. See here. So it is a plugin that is actually configured. It says the Tomcat 7 Maven plugin. So because of that, and when I run the particular goal, when I say this, say run configurations, and if I say Tomcat 7 run, it's going to actually start up the server. And here in this case, the beautiful thing is I even don't need to download Tomcat, because it is going to download Tomcat related jar files explicitly. It is going to download everything on its own, and it's going to generate, initially you will actually have only src folder, but now I have some target folder where you find, see, if you see here, you see the complete Tomcat stuff is right here. Tomcat folder is there. It actually has built a var as well. But the exploded will be application will be like, if you just extract that var file, this will be the one. Okay, this will be the output. OCMS-1.0.0. What is the OCMS? OCMS is the project artifact name, and 1.0.0 snapshot is the version number. So like you have in other projects as well, you have the versions. So when you are doing a development, general notation is that, see, for the released one, in the sense this is the final one. So Spring Framework, actually Spring developers, they worked hard and they tested thoroughly and they released it to the market. In the sense it's available on the internet for download, and they say it is a standard release candidate. That means that you trust that, okay, a fully tested one. So you name that as a release candidate. Otherwise, you call that as a, you can actually, like, there's other notations like release candidate and all. I'll not talk about that for now. But on a day-to-day builds, if you are going to, whatever you are going to work with, you are going to say snapshot. See here, I am actually saying 1.0.0 snapshot is the version number. So that is the version number I am actually going to specify. Okay, so this is actually like, again, for our application also you have some group. So this group in.careerscale.apps is the group that I am actually defining. And once you actually, like, initially I was telling that you can build the application using Maven install. So in that case, where this actually developed, the var file is going to be sitting, it's going to be uploaded to, see here, it is going to be uploaded to the M2 directory, your repository as well. The var file is going to be posted into this folder as well. Okay, so you can actually, like, you can configure Maven to run other servers like, Jetty or JBoss or any other servers, provided you find the corresponding plugin, something similar to Tomcat. Like this, if you find details of other server, you can pretty much do that. Okay, so I'm giving more information. It looks like, it is a repeated session when compared to yesterday. It looks like, the same session, but some additional information I'm giving. Any doubts so far?
No, it's okay.
Okay. I'm actually not discouraging you to raise questions, but like, it might help me because I'm trying to go a little faster. So it will help if you have questions in the middle when I'm actually talking about some topic. You can pretty much type in the chat window. I'll respond on that. That will save us some time. Okay. So now, let me actually, like, try to clean it once. Maven clean. Okay, it's running, so that is the reason it is failing. So I'll first stop the application and then let me clean. Maven clean. What is going to do? So super fast, it deleted this folder, target folder, the contents in the folder, and after that actually Eclipse built something and then some files have come here. Okay, it is not the Maven generated files, but Eclipse generated files. Eclipse has compiled and placed some files into this folder. Okay, so but otherwise earlier target folder had a lot of other files, and now I don't see those files. I can actually, like, then let me do this. Let me redo this. Let me redo this one, Tomcat 7 run. Let me what it is going to do. I guess it should fail. No. Okay. It's okay. Cool. It's maybe I should just do a refresh. See, it's not the application suggest. Cool. Now going to have the application. It's actually doing everything. So that is cool. Maybe I should refresh again. Okay. So I don't need to, okay, then in that case, what I observe is that you don't need to really do a Maven install. You can just run. So I can do pom run as and then do just Tomcat 7 : run. These plugins and keep changing and all that, so sometimes getting it right. I actually, like, was deceived by what I know earlier, and it seems to be a lot simpler than what I know. Okay, so the earlier command, you may probably skip that. Okay, okay, and what is it? It is actually like it is starting based on, now see it is actually started. So when I click this again, I'm going to see this page, okay? And what I see here is primarily, let me actually, now this boils down to the, from here, I guess, everyone should come to this page. Then I would say that you know how to set up your computer for this particular project, because in this project we are using so many things. I'm talking about SVN, I'm talking about Maven, I'm talking about Spring Framework, I'm talking about, JSP Servlet, I'm going to use MySQL database, I'm going to use Hibernate, I'm going to use JUnit and so many other testing stuff, lot of it, okay? So it's going to be, I mean, kind of,
Complete package.
Sorry?
Kind of a complete package.
Yeah, it is actually a big project or product kind of thing, okay? The idea is actually we should build this as like a web-based product, okay? So that anyone can actually download and deploy and use it, right? So first thing you guys have to do is that, set up your computer to this level and then start reading and preparing on the other aspects that I mentioned. So one thing is that you can actually, you need to read Spring MVC and Spring Framework, Spring MVC, and before that you must know what is JSP, what is Servlet, what is Java. Java, knowing what is Java is very, very important, and you must be very good at Java. So for that purpose you can follow my some of my videos on internet, or you have so many of them are there in the internet, okay? So many books are there, you follow, I mean, whatever way you like, you learn, okay? So now when it comes to the application, let me clean this up once. Maybe I'll not clean it for now. So the SRC folder is the one that actually contains the code. This is where you have your code, okay? And within that you have main contains your actual code, and test folder contains testing related code. You want to write any unit test cases, you are going to have the test cases right here into this. So that means that you are going to use, see here, JUnit. I'm actually like going to use JUnit, and then there is a Marketo JUnit runner. So Marketo is another framework for marking, and that I'm not going to talk about now. So basically, like unit test cases, you write a lot of code. In this case, it's the simplest things. There's nothing much there, okay? But otherwise, you are going to have unit test cases into this folder. Fine. And then you have main. Main has, again, it is split into multiple folders. Now Java is going to have all your Java code. Java is going to have all your Java code right here, okay? And within this, please pay attention here, extra attention, okay? So config is going to have, it is going to have some configuration information about Spring Framework, okay? And the starting point here will be web app initializer, okay? So this actually, like, gets, when the moment it is getting loaded into the memory, immediately this method, on startup method, will be triggered. And here I'm actually loading something else, okay? I'm actually saying, I mean, other classes and some other configuration files, but because I had some issue with the Spring security framework, so I just disabled that, okay? So from here I'm saying that first you actually, like, load whatever is there in the config folder. What else is there in the config folder? I have something called web MVC config. You will actually hear of it, going forward more. And the persistence config. The persistence config is about, how you configure the database. So how it is going to work is that this guy is going to actually read data from which guy you are going to, this guy is going to read data from persistence. Where do I have that particular thing? Okay. See, actually the database details, if you look at this, the driver class name, and I assume that you already are familiar with JDBC. So driver class name, the driver URL, username, password. So that information, this is Hibernate related information, okay? where am I going to get this information? I'm going to get from a place called resources. From a place called resources, here I have something called persistence.properties. Persistent.properties. So this is actually being configured somewhere in one of the configuration files. See here, let us see root configuration file. Root config. Let us look at this. Here, they are loading this file into the memory. So whatever values are there in the persistence.properties are going to be available to you, and they are actually coming into this properties. So database.url, see there are a lot of annotations that are used in this application. Okay, so I mean, if you know typical Spring framework, it is a lot different from that, because you don't really configure too many things. You say everything is going to be in terms of Java code. Everything is going to be in terms of Java code. So here I am saying database data source dot driver class name, and where is it? And it is here. See here. And you put a hash, that becomes commented one. Okay, that will not be considered. So this is the value. So these are the values. I mean, the reason why I mentioned that you give the password as secret when you deploy. The reason is that I'm actually hard coding that value right here as a secret. Okay, so that is my local database password for MySQL. And also you must be creating a database called OCMS. You must be creating a database called OCMS. How do I do that? You can go to MySQL command prompt. So, come on, it's not coming up. That means that something is wrong. Let me open the other one. Okay, so here it is coming. So what I do is I enter the password. Fine. So you type create database space OCMS. Put semicolon. Okay. In my case, it is going to throw error because it is already there. It is already there. Let me do this. Okay, drop database OCMS. So I drop database. Okay, then I am creating create database OCMS. It has created a fresh new database. This interesting part with this application is that it is going to create the tables and all when you run the application. Please notice this. Please notice this. What I am doing, I am just running Tomcat 7. Notice the output, or like, no, let me do one thing. I'll just disable those junk document, these things. Debug output. I'm going to comment that. In order to fix the Spring related issue, I thought I'll see if I find some enabling the debugging, but I need to really change 4J config. Let us look at this. Okay. Now I started the application. Clean. Nothing is there. Okay. Sorry. Tables. Nothing is there. Okay. There are no tables in this database. But then, let us look at now. See here. Beautifully, it has created tabs. It has created tables. Okay. And how it is going to create the tables, I'll explain. Because I am configuring Hibernate to say that, HBM is this property. Okay. HBM hibernate.hbm to ddl.auto means that, you create the database automatically, tables automatically. But how does it know that which tables it has to create? So basically, I have added Hibernate related model objects. You find that in the model package. Okay. So they are actually generated using some tools a year back. Hibernate tools is a plugin for Eclipse. So using that, I have generated from database. Actually, I had a database and then I created these things. So here it says there are some mappings. Okay, there are some mappings. It will be too much to discuss that immediately right now, but I just want to highlight that this is how it is actually working. It says see here, table is name is case underscore activity. So it is going to create a table, that particular table automatically first time. So then let me come back 929. So that's how database is coming up. And we also looked at most of the Spring applications. So Spring related stuff. So the Java will contain all the Java code. Okay, Java will contain all the Java code. Resources will contain the property files that are important for the application. So persistent properties, Spring security context. Right now this is not being used, but we need to use that as well. And then comes the web app. So if you are writing any Java code, where it will go? Where it will go? How many
In
of
the
you
Java
guys are
folder.
sleeping? Okay, Java code. Okay,
In the Java folder.
yeah. Uh, right. So the Java folder, you are going to have your code, okay, and then resources will have the property files. Then WebINF. WebINF. Here I am going to have. See, important thing is that web in the web apps, WebINF is an important folder, very important folder, and web.xml was very mandatory earlier. Now it has become optional, but it is this is thing, okay. And now we need to put the images, CSS styles, JavaScript files, and all in some location, right? In the web apps folder. One moment. One moment. So in the web apps folder, I'm actually I'm sorry. In the resources, I kept the images into CSS folder. Then sorry, CSS into CSS folder. Basically, like here I have stylesheet.css, and that is actually referring something from a related location within this folder. So I needed to add some files here. Okay. So but otherwise, my intention was to keep the images right here into images folder. And then scripts folders are into jQuery. I used a library called jQuery, JavaScript library. So jQuery related files are added into this, and then application any custom JavaScript files you want to add, you can add it to your this folder, application folder. Fine. So this is how your the basic resources look like, and then comes the views. I'm going to talk about more on this particular front, but you guys have to catch up with me. So here actually I'm going to put all the JSP files right into different folders, okay, and your logic is going to, you can pretty much look at this particular thing, the code, and see what is actually happening. So you need to understand what is HTML, what are the div tags. HTML, you have styles, you have JavaScript, you have so many things around that. So you need to actually get catch hold of that particular thing. And then interestingly, the validations and all are working because of the JavaScript code that is already in place. So how it's actually, I'm actually look at this. I'm actually using this particular thing in the header. In the head part of it, I'm actually loading certain JavaScript files and one style sheet, and that is actually doing magic for the validations. Otherwise, there is nothing much right in the below. What you have is there is a form, there is a just typical div tag, image, okay, TD, there is a table structure, input field. See here, input field ID column, then type equal to text. It looks very typical input field, but one difference is that this particular thing, class equal to required. So this is actually, you don't really usually you don't do this, but here you need to do it because that is going to actually work for the validations. So
okay, if you don't give
the class,
error.
Sorry? Yes, Praveen?
Yeah, if you don't give the input value, you will get the error.
Yeah, you will get the error. See here. It is going to say you missed 12 fields.
I have seen. Yeah.
So again, there is some validations. It's like this. I cloned it from some website that was a demo website. I gave the link in the documentation somewhere. So the phone validations also is working fine. Okay, and suppose in the email, if I don't give anything, it shows red, and then I give something. It says please enter a valid email address, like this. So this actually I've used a framework called jQuery and jQuery related additional plugin called jQuery validation plugin. Some guy has written some plugin. Okay, I just cloned that file. So jQuery validate min.js, you can actually find into script folder here. So these two things essentially. So JavaScript generally comes into two formats. Generally, one is a regular JavaScript file that pretty much readable, understandable, but you notice that there is this many lines of code is there and lot of space it is going to occupy. Okay, but then the shorter version is that you remove all lines, blanks, everything, and then all the code comes into one single line kind of thing. Okay, now this will save downloading bandwidth. That's why you find the dot versions always. So in the production we should always use .min versions. .min versions. Okay, so now what is pending now is that what we have to do is that you guys have to catch up till this point. So you have the luxury of dropping out. If you think that this is too much for you and I mean you cannot make it, then you have that freedom that you can pretty much it is always good to say that no, this is not my thing. Okay, but otherwise if you are still curious that you are excited about it, you want to do this, then you need to actually understand all these things whatever I'm talking about. So I'm actually like I don't have time in the first place, or maybe I have time but I'm doing so many things. I'm actually like I'm a married man. I need to take care of my family. I work with an NGO called TMAT to make a difference. I'm actually a very active member there. I'm the president for that, and also I work. So I have so many things to take care. So I will be working on this as well. But you guys have to prompt me. You guys have to actually take it forward. Do something little extra, excite me, and I'll be interested. I'll spend more time on it. So I'm going to talk about more on this. Maybe just half an hour tomorrow. I mean actually like maybe we'll. But before that you guys have to set it up. We'll just have the same time at 8:30. Let's meet once again. If that is okay for you guys, let's meet again at 8:30 tomorrow. We'll actually take it forward further. I mean, and like I did yesterday, I actually recorded today's video as well. I'm going to upload even today's session.